Okay, Jessica Johnson is from Idaho State University, and she'll be our first one to start today. I wish her luck, and take it away, Jessica.
Okay. All right, so do you know what's underneath this blank slide? This slide is blank on the outside to our perspective, but it does have something underneath. And often we are so consumed with only looking at what's on the outside, but we don't have the ability or the perspective sometimes to see what is beneath it. And we definitely don't take the time to wonder. And if it's easy for us to do this with a simple PowerPoint slide, can you imagine how easy it is for us to do this with people in our everyday life? So I want you to picture this. A first-year teacher walks into her 6th grade classroom. Her students are all nervous, anxious, and unsure of what lies ahead of them. They don't really know much about each other or their teacher beyond a blank white slide. Eventually, problems start to occur. Misbehaviors are happening in the classroom. Students are gossiping about each other, being rude to one another, being rude to their teacher. And eventually this trickles into their academic performance. The students aren't turning in their homework. They're giving little effort to classroom discussions. And they indicate on a classroom survey that they experience no joy in being at school. The first-year teacher, exhausted and frustrated, approaches her principal and asks for help. The principal points her to restorative justice. Restorative justice is a philosophy that is rooted in relationships and encourages a dialogue for people to get to know one another beyond what is a simple blank white slide. This also leaves room for people to repair harm when it is done in the relationships, because relationships are at the center of solving problems. So this first-year teacher decides to take this practice into her classroom. Every morning, she conducts meetings with her students where they sit in a circle and ask each other questions and answer questions, getting to know one another beyond the blank white slide. Eventually, the students become comfortable around each other. They're problem solving together, they're completing their homework on time, their test scores are increasing, their reading levels are increasing. But more importantly, they indicate on a school climate survey that they are starting to feel comfortable and content in being in their classroom. The teacher also indicates feeling comfortable and happy in her classroom. She reports wanting to come back to work. I know that this study, while done on a small scale, could be effective on a much larger scale. And the reason that I know this is because I was that 6th grade teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. So I think what you're telling us, it's all about relationships and the human interaction. Does that tell us a little bit more about what you were when you were teaching? What started you down this path?
Yeah, well, I think that one thing is that there's this misconception that teachers who tend to focus more on the relationship building or the social emotional, they sacrifice academics at the expense of it. And I don't think it's an either or, it's a both and. And I wanted to demonstrate that. In fact, I would say that if you don't have the relationships down, you're wasting your time on everything else because there's always going to be a disruption to deal with. And so why not, preload with the relationships to make it more preventative rather than reacting.
So were you doing these meetings every day?
Every morning, yes. And sometimes they lasted for 15 minutes and sometimes they lasted for a half hour. The students would request them. And so when your students are asking for something, you know that you're doing it right.
That's great. Well, thank you. I think you did a wonderful job and good luck. I'm glad there's teachers like you out there.
Thank you.